Well, hey guys, welcome back to Run Brevard Running Zones podcast. And if you've been watching for the last few months, you know that while we've been in quarantine and staying home, we have shifted to video versions of our podcast with all of us tuning in from different places. I'm one of your hosts, Katie Parsons, and I'm tuning in from my home studio. And I am here with hosts Pete Vaughn and John Carr. So how's it going, Pete? And where are you?
Hey, Katie. I'm in the office right now. It's a little too hot and humid to record out on the back porch as I have our previous Zoom sessions. And my home office is right next to Amelia's room. So recording in there is not allowed at this time.
Yeah, it's probably getting a little late for that. 1-year-olds don't tend to stay up as late as we usually record these. And How about you, John? How's it going? And you're in your home studio, right?
Yep. I guess we'd call it that. It usually gets played more for video games than actual instrument playing, but yeah, we'll call it the studio.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's useful. It's not just for video games. You can say that you record podcasts in it.
I do.
And then get a little credibility that way. Well, it's been a few weeks since we all talked to each other. I know you guys see each other in the store. I haven't seen you in a long time, but it's always nice to see you here on the podcast. And in my house, it's a very exciting day, at least for me, because it is the last day of school for the year, official. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus, because I'll tell you what, this learning at home was a little rough with 5 different kids. I've loved having them here, and we made it, and they actually ended up with pretty decent grades, everything considered. But I am thankful that tomorrow we do not have to get up and sign in to Brevard Public Schools and do schoolwork tomorrow. So that's the big news around here. And what have you guys been up to? What have you been doing, John? Anything new?
Well, first of all, congrats. I can't imagine having to keep up with schoolwork for 5 kids, especially at home. And that's a big accomplishment. And I'm sure you guys are excited for summer. So that's very exciting. I've not been doing anything too out of the ordinary. I think I've mentioned it before. My goal after the now canceled marathon of March was to stop running so much and kind of do a little bit more strength training, kind of cross training kind of stuff. So I joined a CrossFit gym this week, and you can poke fun of me. That's totally fine. I've only done 2 sessions so far. Today was my second session. So I'm doing like the fundamentals class. They're just going through a lot of the basic like form stuff for lifting, and I've been pretty sore, but it's been a good workout. I've left sweaty both times.
So. And how long is the class? About an hour?
About an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did they have you like dragging tires or any of those like stereotypical CrossFit things yet? Or is that like in the future?
No tires yet. We've done some rowing. We've done some kettlebells, pull-ups, wall balls. So some of those standard CrossFit movements, right? And then, like deadlift, front squat, thrusters, just kind of a lot of those is just going through the correct the movements like for that, and just like checking your form and making sure you're doing it right, because the whole thing is just to prevent injury. You want to make sure you're doing things correctly. So.
And that's what I was going to ask. Are you doing this to improve your running, or are you just like wanting to try something new? Or what made you pick CrossFit of all the different activities that you could possibly choose?
Sure. I figured it would be a good combination of both cardio and strength, because it is, you're trying to either, compete for time. Like the first day, it was 3 rounds of these workouts, and you were trying to compete them as fast as you can. So, I mean, there is a bit of a cardio aspect to it, especially, rowing to kettlebell swings to pull-ups, and then like 3 rounds of that. So you're just trying to like do it quickly, but, rowing is cardio, and, I figured it'd be something like good and like to combine both strength and cardio. And this way I don't have to like think of a workout. Like what am I going to do when I go to the gym? Like, oh, let's do some chest workouts and tricep workouts today. It's like, you just show up and they tell you like, this is what you're doing today. So, suck it up.
Yeah, that part's really good. I know I've always liked that when I go to certain gyms to a workout and someone just tells you exactly what to do, because I think I'd be lost without it. What about you, Pete? In my notes here, I have that you wanted to discuss how you are old and injured. Your words, not mine. So would you care to elaborate on this?
Just as you get older, it just something new every time. Every time you get something taken care of, the next thing pops up. For like a couple weeks ago, since the last time we did a podcast, and I hurt my back lowering Amelia into her crib. And yes, you heard that right, America. So it was so bad, and John can attest to this. That was on like a Saturday night, putting her to bed. And I texted him and Katie Johnson in the morning because we were working Sunday when we were still closed, but doing curbside stuff. It was just the three of us. And I said, I can barely move, but I'm going to come in. And as long as I'm standing and walking around, I'm okay. It's just I can't sit down. I can't do anything really quickly. And so that was tough. And that lasted longer than it should have, probably about a week or maybe 10 days. And I seem to have picked up some kind of ab, groin, sports hernia kind of injury right now. It's been about a week. It hurts when I start to run, and it subsides down to a discomfort, but doesn't really go away. And really hard to pinpoint like what's going on. So I'm thinking I'm getting pretty close to putting up the white flag and going to see our friend Dr. Perry and see what I can do. My main hesitation for any time, I have had some hamstring injuries and some back injuries recently, and a lot of it is due to my subpar core strength and about 10 to 15 extra pounds. And that's probably going to be the first recommendation, is to lose some weight and tighten up the core. So I guess I've been waiting for a real good injury to go in, and we'll see what happens with this one. But yeah.
Yeah, it always seems to be
not good.
It always seems to be the things that you wouldn't think would hurt that, cause the most trouble, like lowering your baby into a crib, not like out running 5 miles or whatever
Right.
it is. It's those everyday things. It's true. It's true. Maybe that should be a CrossFit workout, John, that you should bring up, lowering Pete's baby into a crib. And then people can build up strength
For time.
for time. Well, maybe not a real baby, maybe just like a model baby. Yes, that sounds good. Well, speaking of being old, because I'm older than you, I recently got to do a blast from the past and be in a virtual show that was an interpretation of Britney Spears music, who I love. And I, as you know, and she's the same age as I am. She's older by me by a couple months. So it was fun. I got to do the song Stronger as basically like an undead version of Britney. It was supposed to be a live theater show that would have kind of pulled out all the stops and had a little more to it. But because of coronavirus, the Orlando Fringe Festival was canceled, but we were able to put together a virtual performance. So I got to do that, which was really fun. So I'm happy we did that. Of course, it's sad we didn't get to do the stage show, but at least we got to do something. So that was something exciting I did recently. Not as exciting as the last day of school, but definitely a close second.
Still something to celebrate. And I know you were super excited about that show, and it's totally a bummer that, you weren't able to perform it in person, but I know it was like streaming on Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yeah. I think we've had over 1,000 views or something like that. So that's really cool. And it's always there, like if we want to watch it or share it with someone. So that part's really good because you can't really have that with a live theater show unless you record it. And even then, if you're recording something on stage, it's different than creating something for video. So it was kind of neat to shift and do something different, all recording from home. And someone else did all the editing, and her name's Stephanie. She did a great job. But well, then speaking of good things that have happened, I know that Running Zone, let me make sure I get this completely right, was once again named one of the best running stores in the USA. And this was formerly known as the top 50 stores in the US. And Running Zone was selected based on community involvement, vendor relationships, secret shopper report card. Oh, didn't know about that. And you all were going to go to an awards event and a retail summit that was planned for a few weeks back, but because of everything and all the travel bans, you weren't able to go. But hopefully you'll be able to accept the award in December at TRE in Austin. Is that right?
That's the plan.
Yep.
Okay. So hopefully by December, you'll be able to go.
Yeah.
And how many years has Running Zone? I know every year I feel like I see it on Facebook or whatever, but how many years has Running Zone earned this honor?
There's been a few years that we missed it. It's been called a couple different things over the years. I think this was probably I want to say like around the 9th or 10th time we've got it overall. Mm-hmm. It's something that certainly is not a make or break for your business, but it's certainly a list you want to be on. So the couple years that we did not get it, you take it personally, and there is an unwritten kind of code about it that there are some circles that believe that the people that hand out the award kind of spread the wealth a little bit every so often, and there's a lot of good stores that don't get it. Look, there's as of a couple of years ago, there was just under 1,000 stores in the country, and when they were doing top 50, that was one of the big things was, there's a lot of good stores that weren't getting named, a top 50, and so they kind of took that away, and as I understood it, they were going to pick however many stores they felt met their criteria. John said he watched the awards. They did it as like a slideshow on Facebook. They didn't just like send you an email and say, "Hey, you won." And I think you said you counted around 50.
Yeah, I think it was about 50. I was either 49 or 50 because I know last year they did like 60 stores, right?
Yeah.
And actually, Katie Johnson and Pete went to the award ceremony last year, and up in Minnesota, and it was supposed to be in Georgia this year, but they ended up postponing the announcement on it and then just announcing it the weekend that the ceremony would have happened. So, yep. Yeah, it's definitely, like Pete said, it's definitely a list you want to be on, and it's a cool honor to kind of have that title of best running stores in the U.S. So
absolutely. And so for people that are tuning in, what is the latest on the store? I know it seems like it changes, every couple of days, what the safety precautions are and the group numbers and that sort of thing. But as of right now, what do the store operations look like?
So we were able to open our doors to customers on the 4th of May when they announced the whatever, not phase 2, but whatever they decided was this next step before phase 2. We have our fitting benches spread out through the different corners of the store. We have, we're only letting a certain number of customers in. When we get to that number, we're locking the door and having people space themselves out while they wait. And then when we finish up and clean up, we let the next person in. It's been busy in spurts, and the weekends have been almost normal. But we've had some days that you kind of look around and it wasn't like there was ever anything going on aside from the masks and whatnot. But it's been a good environment, I think. So far, we've had a lot of obviously new customers, people that have just started running and walking. During this quarantine time, and or people that are coming back to running after not running for a long time. So those are some of my favorite customers is the new people that are just really excited about doing it, and it's nice to help them out. And everything else has been kind of just play it by ear. We're doing the cleaning, before and after and during the day, and we've been in contact with a lot of different stores across the country. Obviously, every market's different. I was on a Zoom call with 7 or 8 different stores last week, talking about the event side of the business, and been on a bunch of different. I've been Zooming all over the place, trying to see what works for different markets, and ultimately it comes down to the customer too. Some customers are just not going to feel right coming out during this time. And so we're continuing our curbside service. We're continuing our online service, call ahead, free shipping on everything. So, we're trying to check all the boxes and make sure that we can reach everybody in our area that needs a good pair of shoes for running or walking or whatever it is they need them for.
I know I saw online yesterday or the day before the 4th of July shoes, the Brooks shoes. I was kind of amazed, and now I'm looking at our show notes that there's actually like new products coming out and new things coming out, because to me it feels like so much of the world has just kind of stalled out. But it's kind of exciting because there's still things to look forward to in the store. But John and Pete both, I know you guys are the experts on this. So what are some of the new things that people can expect to find in the store?
Yeah. So, definitely those new USA launch and adrenalines. That's usually a yearly release for Brooks. They don't always do the adrenaline, but I think they turned out really great this year. And so definitely check those out if those are one of your shoes that you like wearing. Pardon me. So we do have the Nike Pegasus 37 coming soon, which is usually like shoes will follow like a model where they update the upper material of the shoe one year, and then the next year they'll update the upper and the midsole. So this is one of those years that we're getting the midsole update on the Pegasus as well. It's going to React Foam, so it's going to be a little bit different from the previous model. We've got the Hyperion Tempo coming soon, which is a kind of high performance, faster kind of feeling shoe. New nitrogen infused foam from Brooks. The first time they've used the DNA Flash, I believe is what they're calling it, in a midsole of a shoe, which we'll also see in the Hyperion Elite update later this year. We've got the new Ride coming, Ride version 13. This is a first version in like 3 years that they've gone away with the ISO fit from the Ride, which I'm excited to see because the Ride 10, I think felt really great. And then they did 2 years of ISO, which weren't exactly my favorite. I think some people are enjoying the ISO fit, and we'll see how they react to the new update. And then we have some new Run Brevard shirts coming in, which is both, of course, the name of our podcast, and one thing that we love doing in our county is running. And so I think they're going back to neon. Is that right?
Yeah.
Going back to neon like the original one. And we're going to do some tanks as well with a bit of a different logo. I think Run also says Run Brevard, right?
Yeah, we did a kind of like a sunset with a palm tree design a few years back, and it said Run Melbourne, and some people that lived in Satellite and Titusville
Suntree,
and Rockledge, they all wanted their own little logo. So we're gonna go with the catch-all of Run Brevard this time.
Okay.
Also, hi Matilda.
I know she's kind of made her. Oh, now she's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, she's rolling around on the floor. She likes to just run around. But I know I love those Run Brevard shirts, and it's kind of like the motto, right? The name of the podcast, but also the motto of Running Zone.
It works.
And everybody who shops there. So, okay, so we've got the 4th of July shoes. So what can you tell me about anything else that might be going on around the 4th of July or on the 4th of July, maybe? Any news?
So we've been in constant communication with the city about the 4th of July race. We've been, basically since this all started back in April, or I guess late March, kind of playing it by ear. First was with Pirate Plunder. We had a rescheduled date that's actually going to be a virtual race this coming weekend. We had Run for the Gecko that we postponed and ended up having to be a virtual race. And so then that next one on our list, was 4th of July. And that was one, me personally, I was kind of keeping my eye on. I thought that was, I was hopeful that we would be in a good spot by then. So we worked with, again, a lot of different colleagues from our industry all over the country. Run Sign Up, our registration platform, has put together a ton of documentation for free to Run Sign Up clients and to anybody that wants to look at it. here's what we think races are going to look like in the near future. Here's what we think races are going to look like 6 months from now. How can we, help timers and race management companies, put on an event that checks all the guidelines and protocols and stuff like that. So there have been a lot of people out there trying to, throw every idea against the wall and see what sticks. There's been some timers that are, John, you and I were watching that YouTube video not too long ago. Some guy, and I think it was in Kentucky, he just set up a 5K course in his neighborhood, invited all his neighbors, and said, every 5 minutes somebody can start. Here's a chip. Just come get it. Run your race. And he set up a camera at the start, and then on the other side of his neighborhood, he had a finish tent with another camera, and he was, giving them result. He had a little results printer there for all his neighbors just to run, just to try and see what could work as far as like a contactless race and stuff like that. So all that being said, our team, we kind of adapted some of those principles, and we submitted a plan to City of Melbourne. Our contacts within the city manager's office was able to get us on the docket to be heard at City Hall for the city council meeting. We went on Tuesday night. Tonight's Thursday. It was interesting because the council meeting started off. They unanimously decided to cancel the fireworks display just because you're going to have a whole ton of people all gathering in one space, and all the other municipalities around our county had canceled. So they were worried that if they did it, people were going to come from all over the place, and the crowds would be even more than they usually are. So we were a little bit nervous there, and then the mayor asked the city manager to give an update on the events, and luckily we were on that list, and Denise was able to speak in front of city council, and between that and the city manager, the council unanimously agreed that a run walk for 4th of July could be a good way to safely celebrate, and good for the community and for the people that want to get out and exercise. So several of the council members themselves said that they want to be there. So we are going to give it a shot, and we're still ironing out the details. But by the time this goes live, the announcement will be out there that we will be able to have both a physical and a virtual event for the Firecracker 5K on 4th of July. So if you are at risk, if you have had any kind of sickness, or for any other reason you don't feel comfortable coming out, you can still do it virtually. We are offering finisher medals for the series this year. So for physical, and we're going to be having a modified start. So we're going to have a hour-long rolling start at this point. So to kind of space everybody out. We won't be doing a lot of the things that you're used to at a running zone race, unfortunately, but so it's going to be different, but we feel like we can still put together a quality event following all the safety protocols, and really, kind of set the standard for safe events going forward. As this is going to be the first race in our area since early March, and we're hoping to really have a good event and something that people can take and kind of base their events on and go forward, so we can kind of get back to somewhat regular events and waking up at 3 a.m.
Yes, that will be fun. That's always a fun wake-up call on the 4th of July, and it's a little warm, usually.
Yeah.
But I know that people have been asking me if it's going to happen, and I just keep saying I don't know, except for the other day when I told someone when I didn't know. I wasn't supposed to tell them yet, but it was because I saw it on the city council meeting when I was watching it online.
On the YouTube, right?
Yeah, on the YouTube. So that's
how many followers do they have, John?
I think I saw that they have 5 subscribers, and I've got about a little more than 50. So I was very excited to learn that I have more subscribers than the city of Melbourne does.
Than an entire city. That's pretty good, John. But I know people are excited about it, and just like you said, just the first time to be able to do anything like this.
Yep.
Not just a race, but like to congregate, but in a different way. and to set the model for that. I think it's going to be really successful. I know it will be. It'll be great. And then the Run for the Gecko is virtual. That's the end of this year's series.
That's right.
And that starts June 13th, right?
Yep.
And will there be like a week long, like there has been for the other ones, to turn in your results?
Yep.
But then you're saying every series race that does happen in the next year will have a finisher medal for the race?
That's right. That's the plan.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
So, I mean,
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And so we wanted people like who are, running virtually still have that, kind of finisher medal feel that they would get of, an in-person race. So we decided to, offer the finisher medal with all of our races. And a lot of people, love the finisher medals and will come out for a race because of the medal.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll be great. And I can't wait to see all the finisher medals, right? Because I assume they'll look different depending which race it is, right?
Yep.
So that'll be really neat. My kids will be excited. So like if they all do all of them, that's a lot of medals. We're gonna
find a whole new wall to put those.
We're gonna need a new medal rack, yes, and wall and room eventually, a whole new room.
And I won't give anything away before it's official, but the people that maybe struggle with the bridge when we do a race down near the causeway, I think the course will be a little bit flatter for the firecracker this year. I don't know if that'll be a permanent thing, but for 2020, you will get a reprieve from the causeway.
Wow. Okay, so now everybody's going to sign up because they can do it. They can get a medal for just doing the one race, and they don't have to worry about that bridge on the 4th of July, probably. So that's going to be a great event. Great. I'm excited. And I know tonight we actually have someone joining the program who is not named Alex.
That's right.
I'm sorry to disappoint all the Alex fans out there. Her name is Kristen. I've actually never spoken with her before, but I know she is our rep from Hoka, and we can probably wait till she's on to kind of do her intro. But I guess, is she ready, John?
Yeah, she's in the waiting room. So
we'll take a little
break.
We'll
cut this here for a second. We'll get her in, and then we'll start it back up.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome.
Well, hey, Kristen, thanks for joining us on Run Brevard. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, I know Pete and John know you a little more than I do, so does one of you want to go ahead and give her a proper introduction to the show?
Pete, I'll let you do that one.
Yeah, you struggle with titles, it seems, John.
I do. I really do.
And let me see if I can nail it, this one. So Kristen is our field marketing rep. Yes?
Correct.
Hoka 1-1.
Except you said the name wrong. You said 1-1, which is.
But it's not going to matter soon, right?
Hoka One One.
Right.
That's how our brand is pronounced. It's a mouthful.
So, I'll let her kind of give her real job description. But it's been a real pleasure having her come out to the events that we used to have, and hopefully we'll have again. Just doing in-store activations, and we've had some demo runs in the past and stuff like that where you get to try out Hoka shoes, which is important for any brand, but especially for a brand like Hoka, where it's really kind of hard to describe to a customer until they put the shoe on their foot. And some customers are a little leery that it does feel different than their shoes, and then the ability to be able to take them for a 3-mile run and just try them out is huge. So I'll let you do a better job, Kristen.
No, that was great. Thank you, Pete. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and also to give you some fairness in the naming thing, our titles changed halfway last year. I used to be a field service representative, and now I'm a field market representative. So you guys are great on that. And that was an awesome intro. But yeah, I was going to give you guys just a little bit of background on my role. I work with over 50 accounts in North and Central Florida, doing field marketing duties to really service accounts and connect our brand with not only their consumers, but with staff. Like as Pete said, getting in, chatting with retailers and associates and just educating them about our product and giving this consumers the opportunity to try our shoes on. Because as Pete said, Hoka is a highly experiential brand. we have this thing called the Hoka difference with our technologies. And that's what makes Hoka kind of stand out in that running world and running realm, and why people might feel like their shoes are a little bit different than other brands that they've experienced before. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm a huge Hoka fan, probably about a year and a half now. And I had a few friends who wore them before I did. And I was also like, are those comfortable? Like, you seem kind of like high up. No, they're great. They're great. They're great. And I had trouble with plantar fasciitis off and on, probably for about a year. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. And I know, John, you helped me get fitted for my first pair, and then I also added a power step just to have that little extra bit of cushion, and it did feel a little bit different. But what was interesting is the first race I wore them in, I had a PR for a 5K, and then I ran a really fast 10K, and so I was like, I guess they feel a little bigger. I don't know if it's bulky, but something like that, like a little bigger than a normal shoe, but I'm moving faster. So I was sold at that point. Well, and I was originally sold because Britney Spears wears Hokas to work out in when she's not burning down her gym, or maybe when she is burning down her gym. And so John was kind of like, Britney wears these. And I was like, okay. But I was so happy because I just keep replacing them, when I get to my mileage, because I just love them so much.
No, I love that. I feel like there's a lot of really like organic stories about how people come to our brand, whether it's through an injury or just having that sales associate introduce you to Hoka, whether it's a Britney Spears sell-in or not. I love that.
It worked for me.
I kind of knew she was like a big Britney fan, and I remember seeing a picture of like Britney wearing an old like Clifton 2 or 3 or something. I'm like, well, Britney kind of wears some Hokas, so you try these out.
Just slip that in subtly.
Good on you, John.
Yeah. So Kristen, where are you based? Where do you live?
So that can be confusing as well, because I basically cover all across Central Florida into the Panhandle, but I actually live in North Tampa right now. I was living in Orlando earlier last year, and so kind of just staying in that neutral center of the state. So happy to be on the west coast of Florida.
And how has your travel changed in the past couple months? Are you doing a lot just remotely now?
Yeah, so we went on a work from home policy in mid-March and have been on it since. So I've not been able to do any field duties. It's really just been Zoom meetings fully and email. So it's been strange because I was in my car 4+ days a week before quarantine times began. And, having that road time, being in my car was just so normal. And that sense of normalcy changed a lot and shifted to being back home. So it's kind of been a pause and a reset, but it's allowed me to refresh a little bit because travel was getting kind of hectic over that, really when we were back in that like high race season, because really strange time to shift to work from home.
Yeah, definitely. I would think for any sort of in-person sales and, as you mentioned, an experiential brand. And then, as John and Pete and I know, for event management companies too, it's been a really interesting time. So let's see here. I'm looking over my notes okay, so you say where you live now, but what about where you're from and how you got started in running, and then how that kind of shifted into working in Run Specialty?
Yeah, so I'm from the Northeast technically. I was born in Massachusetts, but I'm a Florida girl. My parents raised me in Cape Coral, Florida on the West Coast. So this is my home, being on the West Coast, kind of just, I attended undergrad in Tampa. So it's roots that I'm just like based in, and I love being on the side of the state. It's home to me. So I got started actually running when I was in college at USF in Tampa. And I have a unique kind of running perspective because when I was at that early middle school age, I was actually diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. So I had inflammation in my joints at an age which was kind of weird, because that's when, team sports and physical activity and running would have been probably something you were introduced to in that middle school or high school age. And it was something that I wasn't able to engage in at that time because high impact sports were something to stray away from. So I wasn't really able to get back into running until I was in remission, and it was in a dormant condition in my joints till, probably the age of 18 or 19. So I started running when I was up at USF, just had, good resources and facilities to explore that, especially during a stressful and anxious time of college. So it's really a recreational sport for me. I don't try to do it too competitively because I'm just trying to protect my body, but it's really mindful, and I really enjoy what I get out of every run, that I do. So that evolution kind of led me into being more aware of the running realm. I graduated with a mass communications degree, so I always wanted to explore some kind of communications, marketing, or public relations role. And I went ahead and was able to get a job in the run specialty field in Southwest Florida as an events coordinator for Fit to Run Naples. So I did their kind of local grassroots, like community outreach, marketing, did the run club from the store, and social media. So that was really how I was able to grow my awareness, more so that run specialty channel, and be introduced to brands more holistically, because, I had really just known only certain pieces of the running realm before that. And it was a whole eye-opening experience for sure. And, really getting to know these brands better and getting to know Hoka through a different lens, because it's one thing to be a consumer of Hoka, to be an associate that sells Hoka, and then to be a rep for Hoka. So it was a really seamless transition when the rep role for Florida opened up. I was lucky enough to be considered and go through that interview process, and I got hired in late 2018, and started in January of 2019. So I've been here for about a year and a half now, and it's been awesome.
And I mean, Hoka is like a very fast growing brand. I feel like I can imagine from when you started in 2019 to now, even that year and a half, you've probably just experienced a lot of growth with the company.
Oh yeah, it's like a rocket ship. Hoka's growth is it's up 30% or more each time I see kind of those reports, and having us be in that space where we are a top 3 brand in the country of the run specialty channel is really cool. Seeing 3 years ago is a much different story when I kind of got familiar with Hoka to now, where it's really just charging forward. It's exciting to be with a brand that's growing so quickly and getting in front of so many eyes.
Yeah, especially because Hoka didn't start until 2009, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, 11 years to be in that top 3 is incredible.
Definitely. It's shocking and really super cool. So yeah, we're hoping to keep that momentum. Sorry, Katie.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's kind of what you were just about to say, I think. Do you find that more and more people know what Hoka is now when you bring it up than when you first started with the company? Is it?
Yeah, I think that there's more of that very organic word of mouth interaction, like in stores, because I spend a lot of time just visiting stores and working on sales floors with this role as well. I mean, not to the capacity that you guys do, but I get to hear it through that consumer voice coming in, and they're recognizing the brand in a way that even when I was in run specialty or prior, that they weren't quite as much. It wasn't quite as often that you would hear someone come in and stand and look at the Hokas and be like, is this Hoka? Like, is this the Hoka One shoe? And, people are knowing about the brand before coming into the store, rather than being introduced to it, in a way that might have been more prevalent in years prior. So it's really cool to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been definitely word of mouth with Hoka has been, just incredible over the last couple of years, or even go back to when we brought it in. I mean, the people that I tell customers this all the time, people will ask, what do you think about this brand? What do you think about that brand? And they ask about Hoka, and it's, the only way I can sum it up to them is if it fits your foot right, the people that love Hoka, they want to tell everybody in their life about it. They want everyone that they know to wear a Hoka because it feels so good for them. And we hear the stories all the time of people like, oh, well, so-and-so doctor told me I'd never run again. I never used to be able to run, and now I can run all the time. So it is incredibly a word of mouth brand, like almost like no other one we've ever seen.
Yeah, I love hearing that.
I
It's
definitely
true.
have to agree. Yeah. Like I said,
Hoka
my
woman.
friends told me about it. I don't even know how many times before I was finally like, fine, like I will try this shoe, and then then you kind of understand, because I know Ann Mitchell really likes Hokas as well. So ooh, look at those. And honestly, I know I've said this on the show before and the boys aren't sure about this, but I like a pretty shoe. I don't think there's anything wrong with a gorgeous shoe. And some of the Hokas are, they're really good looking shoes, like the purple and then like the ombre and the different grays. And they look beautiful too. So that's just a plus. That's just a plus.
I love hearing that because the shoes of 5 years ago were a lot different looking, and to have someone of the female audience call a Hoka pretty or say that our colors are pretty is a win. I love hearing that.
They are.
And I think they're pretty too. I mean, I'm a little biased, but some of those colors are really nice. Those rose gold pops, I love them.
I like the purple ones or the lavender ones that were recently out. Those were really, really pretty too. But functional first.
Yes, of course.
Just a bonus that they look so great. So you've talked a little bit about quarantine, and you've mentioned that it's sort of been a reset in some areas of your life for you. What do you mean by that? Like what's changed? What kind of motivation are you finding being at home?
Yeah, no, I love that question because I feel like everyone's kind of adapting in a different way during this time. And for me, it was just such a shift in, how I was traveling and what I was doing in my schedule to being stagnant, which is good because it's allowed me to re-explore more hobbies and some home improvement projects, things that just were getting neglected when I was working out in the field so often. Traveling does kind of allow you to, explore new places, but when you come home, you're tired and maybe aren't, engaging in the things that you once were. So it's really cool to be doing more like craft projects, like to do art, things like that, and organizing my garage. With Hoka, we get a lot of field assets, so there was some organizing to be done, and that was much needed.
That's always nice. And then you feel like when you get back to normal, you're in a better place, right? When things are organized or when you've gotten a little bit more done at home. I mean, at least that's what I'm hoping for our house too. Once we're back to normal, that we're a little more organized than we were. We have a little bit less stuff, maybe. We're like just, doing a little bit ahead of all of that instead of always behind. So I totally get that. So you said you started running. Yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
Do you have a separate storage unit, Kristen?
I actually do not. I'm lucky enough that my apartment has an attached garage. So I'm super lucky that and it's a pretty sizable garage. So I'm lucky that I don't have to do a storage unit.
Katie, for reference, most of our reps, even the ones that have a garage for their cars or for everything else, most of the reps in Florida have a separate dedicated offsite storage unit that they keep all their samples and their goodie bags and stuff that they hand out. So most of the reps are not as lucky as Kristen to be able to fit all their stuff into their home premises.
Even like Alex, who it was on the last podcast, and Sealay's pretty much just a hat brand. Like he has a storage unit just for Sealay stuff. It's wild.
Yeah, it is.
I can imagine. Yeah, that would overflow probably pretty quick. But if you've got it organized, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good.
So you said you started running in college. And so what are some of your favorite places that you've ever run? And what are some of your favorite places to run right now?
Yeah, so so probably the place that I felt like most uplifting to run, because I have never traveled to the West Coast of the United States until I worked for Hoka. So we have a brand conference and we'll travel out to Goleta, California, which is right near Santa Barbara, or right outside of Santa Barbara. And that is where Hoka's headquarters is with Decker's brand. So we will be out there for like a week. And I went out last October. So the weather's gorgeous at that time of year on the coast. And running like from like basically the headquarters to like the beach only takes like 10 minutes. So that run, like with my teammates, probably one of my favorite places and times that I've ever run, just because it's just so like, you're just on such like a, I don't know, uplifting moment, like being with people from the brand, because we're remote workers, we don't get to see each other too often. And it just was a great time, and just gorgeous. California is beautiful. And locally in Tampa area, there's a park about 10 minutes from me. It's called Flatwoods Trail Park. It's just a greenway. So that's a nice spot. I like to have a peaceful run there. And then another cool place I just think in Tampa, because I just love the Bay Area, is Bayshore Boulevard, which is just like a really long stretch along the water. A lot of people rollerblade, bike, run on that stretch, and it's just beautiful. You can see the whole Tampa Bay when you're running, so it's really awesome.
Wow, that sounds really pretty. And I agree, California is beautiful. Well, you're lucky you live somewhere beautiful, and then you get to go, when you go to work, you get to go somewhere beautiful for that too.
All right, so we talked
there. Oh, go ahead, John.
Good. No, you go for it.
I just wanted to say, you mentioned being out in California. Hoka is part of the Deckers family. Do you want to give anybody that's unfamiliar with that, what that entails, all the brands that Deckers supports?
Yeah. So, Deckers Brands is a pretty big company once you know who is under their wing. We were acquired, Hoka was acquired by Deckers about 5 or so years back. But UGG boots, if you've ever seen those furry fun things. So that's our main brand that is probably the most well-known. And then they also own Teva and Sanuk. So a lot of those lifestyle performance brands. And so we're their performance footwear brand. So it's really cool to be in that family because they're always doing innovative and fun stuff.
I may or may not have a pair of Uggs in my closet.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I know. There's very few times I get to wear them in Florida, and they usually don't leave the house. They're like my house slippers, but it's a full boot. Yep.
Yeah.
They're great though. They're very comfy.
Deckers
must
get
just
Uggs?
like,
Yeah. Is that like a job perk? Do you have Uggs?
Yeah, we're able to access the other brands as well, and just kind of enjoy some fun sandals and boots and things like that. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your favorite places to run. Do you have a favorite shoe you've ever run in, and what is your current favorite to run in?
Yeah. So I'm going to say Hoka for both of these. I'm sorry. Like it's true. Like I love our product. So the favorite shoe, like my favorite all-time shoe from Hoka is definitely the Clifton. I know that's like the standard answer, but the Clifton 6, when that shoe first went on my foot, I just was like in love. So that's the most current update of it, which is lucky enough. Product team did a really good job listening to people and updating that to be just super comfortable. So that's the shoe that I got into Hoka with, was the Clifton. So makes sense that it's kind of still my favorite and much improved. And then currently I've been running in the Elevon 2, which is an update in our Fly collection. This is a little bit more responsive and cushioned than the Clifton. I really like cushy shoes. I like that really inherently stable and just like plush feel. So that's why those two are kind of top ones for me.
Say that cushion feel, you're definitely in the right brand for that then.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm with you on that one for sure. See, I know
I just wanted to point out too, going back to the word of mouth and the Hoka, the brand ambassadors that don't get paid, the people that just want to tell everybody they know about Hoka. We had a little conversation on our we have a Facebook page for the podcast on our main Running Zone page, and somebody just posted, I don't remember the exact details, something about, this is my size and weight. I'm looking for a really soft shoe, and I've heard about this Hoka, and a couple people chimed in. We're like, definitely, go to Running Zone and check out Hoka's, and so.
Oh my gosh, get a Clifton! It's the best shoe I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so and so.
I love it. Was like a Hoka love fest for sure.
I'm glad.
But I think it helped. I think it helped the person. So like all the answers were very helpful.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
we'll have to pull their customer profile, see if they came by. But
Oh yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah, no, the word of mouth interactions are really cool, and like it's nice when they're also directed to like the fit experts, which you guys know best. But it's really neat to just see such positive, recommendations in the community and how we're received online and things like that. So, yeah, that's awesome.
So
Well,
what have you been watching and or listening to during all your free time that used to be in the car?
So I have been, my significant other is also home as well during the safer at home order. So we've been trying to explore a lot of like Netflix and TV shows. And so I've always been a big fan of the fantasy realm, and he's more of like a nonfiction guy. But I convinced him to rewatch Game of Thrones with me because that's been a favorite of mine since it started, and watching that like when it aired originally. And I also I'm re-listening to a podcast that complements Game of Thrones, which is called Storm of Spoilers. So those are two things that I kind of enjoy just listening to. It's a fantasy-based podcast. Fun to hear kind of takes from writers and those in the film industry kind of chatting about a show I love, and breaking it down. So those are definitely kind of a track we're on now. We're kind of diving deep into the show.
I know my wife, when she was finishing her doctorate, she was part of it was just like massive data entry from these testing cases that she was looking at, and she listened to I think 2 of the books while she was entering data for this for her dissertation, and so she ended up listening to all of them, and we watched the series and everything. So
good on her. I never actually read the books, but I think the show is good. So
between the show and the podcast, you probably have it covered.
I think so. I hope so.
Well, you kind of already told us what quarantine has taught you. That was one thing we were all kind of going to talk about tonight. Well, I guess we've been talking about what we've been watching and listening to as well. So anything new for you guys? I know we had been talking about The Last Dance, the ESPN special, which I'm not done with yet. I know, Pete, you're done with it. And John, you're waiting for July, right?
Waiting for the Netflix release, yeah.
What else? Anything new watching or listening? Anybody? Oh, well, I have one. I started watching on Netflix, the Netflix original Dead to Me with Christina Applegate. It's like a suspense. I don't know. I watched a couple episodes of it. It's pretty good. I like her a lot. Yeah.
Courtney's on season 2 of that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was.
I've not seen it with her, but
yeah, it's basically her husband was hit by a car and died, and so it's her trying to kind of figure it out. But it's a lot of profanity and adult content, but a really good plot line. Yeah, great. So I watched it, when my children were not here. So now I'm on pause because they're back and it's summer break. But they were gone the evening I started that. But that's about it. I've still been doing my true crime podcasts. I was going to tell you guys I recently listened to one on Anne Bonny, the pirate. Is that her name? Yeah. So like all about like her life and how she became this like, I don't know, huge pirate of the seas, and how people thought she was a man until she was arrested. And then they were going to hang her, and she was like, I'm a woman and I'm pregnant. And so they didn't. It's really pretty good. So that's a pretty interesting podcast. And kind of mindless. I listen to those when I walk the dog. But what else? Anything else good that you've been listening or watching?
I haven't been doing
either.
Watch a little bit of, this and that, or some nights it's just trying to figure out what to watch on Netflix. We recently started, I think it's called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. It's a little bit different. Something happens, earthquake happens when she's in an MRI machine, and she can hear people's like songs that are like telling of what's going on like in their life at the moment. And she feels like compelled to help people. It's a little goofy, but it's all right.
Probably has good music.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's usually like it's whatever actor's playing that character like is singing the song. So I was like, trying out for those roles. I'm sure you had to like, are you comfortable singing on set? Like
yeah.
And a lot of these people don't come from musical backgrounds, but some of them do. Like I know one of the guys from oh goodness, I can't remember. There was an a cappella movie that was really big. They did like 2 or 3 of them. I don't know. He was in that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Pitch Perfect.
Can't think of the name of it.
Right?
Pitch Perfect. I would say something Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. He
With
was in
Anna
that, and
Kendrick.
he's like one of the main characters in this show. So he's always great. Like anytime he does like a song, but there's like varying
Sounds good.
levels of talent. So it's interesting.
Cool.
I tried to. I started an episode of Glee with my daughter Amelia, and all my kids are really into music and into theater. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna just freak out. She's gonna love it, and she did not like it. We watched one episode, and she was like, They're not like being auto-tuned. They don't even sound real. I'm like, yes, they do. They're singing. She's like, it's so overproduced. Like, she just wants to watch like people singing in their basement on Instagram. Like, to her, it's like, that's cool.
That's
and
real.
This like show that had like all this production value, and like she's like, that's not how people sound. Like, this is stupid. And I was like, okay, fine. Go away. I tried, but I couldn't believe it. But it's such a, I mean, that show's not that old, and it's such a generational difference already. She doesn't want to sit and watch that. You know, she'd rather watch something else. Yeah. Anyway, well, we have some fun questions here. I think we're all going to answer, right, Pete?
Sure.
We'll start with, I'd say, we'll start with you, Kristen, and then maybe Pete, John, and then me.
Yep.
So you get to begin because you're our guest. So I'll take the first question. Tacos versus pizza. If you could pick one for the rest of your life, which one would it be? And what kind?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So pizza and pepperoni because I'm a simple girl.
John, I think I know your answer, but
John doesn't have to answer this.
It's pizza for sure. Probably just like if we have to pick a kind, it would be mostly just cheese because I think if any like one topping would get like excessive. I don't know.
Cheese wouldn't get excessive.
Well, I mean, cheese is on every slice of pizza, right? So, I mean, if you're doing it right, at least.
How about
you kind of reframed it a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I love me some pizza, but I like tacos a lot, and I feel like you could get a better variety in the taco.
That's fair.
Even if you were forced to only pick one like main thing, like meat, you could still vary up the toppings. So, and you get chips and guac and salsa with all the tacos. Yeah, tacos.
Yeah, I'm with you too. There's only so much you can do with pizza, but I feel like tacos. I mean, you can even make like lettuce wrap tacos. You can do anything with no. You can't. Is that not a taco? That's where we draw the line. Well, anyway, I would pick tacos as well. And what about beverage? Doesn't have to be the only thing you drink the rest of your life, but what's your go-to beverage, adult or otherwise?
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna go with sparkling water. I'm just a big fan of most brands. Like, I'm not too picky with that or flavors.
Whatever's
John
on the
supports
BOGO
LaCroix.
at Publix. Yeah.
Yes, truly, whatever is on BOGO.
LaCroix, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is water in general, but if we want more exciting answer, then it's coffee. But that's staples, honestly.
Yeah, every day during quarantine has been just a relay between water, coffee, and alcohol. It's just, can I get hydrated and then have enough coffee to get me through the day until it's time to go home and watch Amelia and have some beers.
That sounds like me, except instead of beer, it's red wine. Although I tried White Claw for the first time
That's right,
the other day. I did. I actually kind of liked it.
You survived.
It was pretty good. I survived. I'm still here, and I didn't puke or anything. It was actually quite lovely, and it's sparkling. Just letting you know, low carb, low calorie. I probably won't ever give up wine, but it was a fun little summer treat, something a little different. What else do we have on here? Oh, this is a good one. I want to know what you guys say to this. The first place you're going to visit as soon as you're allowed to.
Okay, so for this one, I was actually planning a trip with my significant other a while back to happen probably around this time frame. We wanted to go to Denver and just kind of explore and do like a little road trip in the Colorado area and some of those western states. So that's a trip I'd really like to do, but really I'm happy locally to just kind of get back to doing like, I really miss like farmers and art markets and things like that. Tampa and St. Pete have a lot of those just like local events, and I miss being able to see those on the weekends, especially during this time, because usually summer is a really festive and fun experience in this area, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
This is tough. I don't know. I don't usually take that many trips, or like if I do, it seems like they're somewhat work related. Like TRE, I went and saw the marathon trials. I don't know. I guess I need to take a vacation of some kind.
You need to come up with a place to go as soon as you're allowed to.
Let's put it this way: I've never been to the Keys, and every time I say that, Courtney is shocked that I've never. And because she's lived in Florida her whole life, I've lived here about like 10 years. And she's like, "You've never been to the Keys?" I'm like, "We've been together for like 8 years. Like you know, like I don't know. It's funny." She knows I haven't because we haven't gone since we've been together. But so we'll have to go to the Keys, I guess.
There you go. What about you, Pete?
Wherever we find the time to go, and whenever Grandma and Grandpa want to watch Amelia for a weekend, I'm down for anything. Our last trip, we got to go to spring training in Sarasota for the Orioles right before the COVID hurricane hit, and I would go back there with no fault, no problems. But probably it'll be TRE this year if that happens, which it seems like it will. That will probably be our first trip. And Austin's not a bad place to go. Have a good time every time we go, yeah.
That'll be here soon, right? That's not that far. I would have to say, because this got canceled right when all this hit, was going to see my family up in Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area. So I'm hoping as soon as it's safe to see them and to physically travel between several states that we can take a family trip up there, because I'm really missing them. And I may be able to go by myself and see them before taking everybody else, if needed. But I'd like to do the all-out thing, go to Chicago, be around crowds, do all the summer stuff. But we'll see. The summer might be too soon for that. Okay, how about the top 3 chain restaurants? Oh, that's a good one. Your top 3.
Okay, so I had to reflect on this, but I think I picked good ones for me. The Cheesecake Factory, because I love dessert. I have a big sweet tooth. And their cheesecakes are massive. Bonefish Grill and Olive Garden, which was just a childhood favorite, and I love their breadsticks.
I'm glad you reflected on that. You put a lot of thought into that. Thank you. You came to the podcast prepared. Meanwhile, I'm like racking my brain right now. Like, what am I going to say? So I'll go last. What about you, John?
I feel like I maybe didn't see these questions until I pulled up this thing when we went live. Goodness. Cheesecake Factory is a good one. I mean, their menu alone is like 25 pages long, so there's always something that you can find there. And I mean, the cheesecake menu alone also is like another 2 pages. So I mean, you really can't go wrong, honestly. So a lot of good options there. So other than cheesecake, I really love sushi, and I've not been able to go out for sushi in a while. I mean, sometimes I go to like Publix and like get their, like that's what I did last night, get their $5 sushi on Wednesday nights. But so I'll go out for sushi. Probably there's a place in Satellite called Nippon Thai, and that's probably my favorite place locally. And let's see, so
that's not a chain, John, but
it's
as
chains.
long as I get to say
gosh.
it too, I'm okay. Because that's also on my list.
Chains then. I don't know any like sushi chains. I mean, I feel like most sushi places are like local, at least around here. You know, I don't know of any chains around here. All right, so not just chains. Gosh.
What about fast food?
I mean, I've already still been eating at Taco Bell. I haven't stopped that. And other than that, I mean, pizza chains. But like, you don't really eat out at pizza chains. Like, remember when Pizza Hut used to have the booths all around the restaurant? That was like a favorite as a child, and those don't really exist anymore. Even like one of the last ones I feel like was in Indialantic, and that one's gone now. So
that was there even just a couple of years ago.
yeah.
I would take the kids and I'd be like, this is so fun. And they were like, it's pizza. Who cares? But I'm like you. It was kind of like reminded me of going to get pizza when I was a kid.
Mm.
But yeah, that one's not even open anymore.
Or even better, the Pizza Huts that used to have the lunch buffet. Those were really rare. Yeah. And there was one of those in Cocoa. I think Cocoa Beach. I think that might be gone now too. Sorry, I'm just reminiscing on pizza.
Somehow, here we are back at pizza. Shocking. Well, what about you,
won't take
Pete?
up much time. Bonefish, Chick-fil-A, Jimmy John's, all you need.
Those are good ones. I would have to say I'll jump on the Cheesecake Factory bandwagon. And I love Nippon Thai, but that's not technically a chain. But I do like Benihana, so I like going there. And I love hibachi. Any hibachi place is my favorite. I guess Taco Bell. I like Bonefish too. I don't go there that often, but every time I go, I do like it a lot. I like Outback too. I guess that's like 4. Sorry, but
I gotta
like
say, so my in-laws have been really big on Culver's since it opened in Vieira. And I've never been to a Culver's. I've heard they have good burgers, and I was recently just had my first Culver's takeout experience. I did not go, but pretty good burger.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's in the Avenue.
Okay.
All right. So final question here. 3 songs from your running playlist.
Okay. I thought about this one too because I was not going to be able to answer this off the top of my head. So start thinking, John. I like to listen to like upbeat, like pop music. Usually when I'm running, I like faster paced songs. I picked some like pop, kind of indie pop artists I listen to. So I like Electric Love, Helm, and then I picked Come Hang Out. So those are just different artists that have some upbeat, fun songs to listen to. Or sorry, those are the songs, not the artists, but.
Those are good ones. What about you, John?
All right, we'll go with Safe and Sound by Capital Cities, Let It Happen by Tame Impala, and Pompeii by Bastille.
I like that one.
I had to think really quick. I'm sorry.
Pete?
As you know, I don't usually run with music, but back in the day, the pre-race playlist usually included some combination of Enter Sandman, any number of Rage Against the Machine songs. I was a little angry at this time. And let's see, you know what song I gave for our playlist when we did this on the podcast that just never gets old to me is Highway to the Danger Zone. Little Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins.
Really can't go wrong with the Top Gun soundtrack, honestly. In any realm.
Yep.
You know, just hanging out music, running music, workout music, car music, whatever it is. My dad, I don't know if I ever told you this, my dad had a cassette tape of that soundtrack. So we used to listen to that in his pickup truck when we would go get ice cream. So good memories for that one. That's more like about ice cream for me, not so much fitness, but maybe I could try to switch.
Playlist.
Yes, that would definitely go on my ice cream playlist. Mine, gosh, I listen to a lot of different stuff, but I think I like some Britney Spears songs to run to. I like Toxic a lot and Work Bitch, obviously, if you're really trying to get in a good run. Any hip hop, anything where someone can just be like yelling at me in my ear usually gets me moving. I like Elton John though too. I listen to Tiny Dancer a lot when I run.
Yeah.
Even though it's slow.
I love that.
I'm slow. I don't know. It just makes me happy. So it just makes me like keep going and just like feel good about life. And Taylor Swift, obviously. You Need to Calm Down. That's my favorite right now. I like that one a lot. Could go on and on, but I won't. But some of my songs on that. But so Kristen, this is up to you. But we usually, after we've spoken with our guests, John knows what's coming.
Yep.
We have a small little segment of the podcast where Pete talks about conspiracy theories. And this is not a conspiracy theory podcast, but this has become quite the popular feature of the podcast. And so would you like to stick around for it? And would you like to weigh in and see what you think?
I would love to hear Pete talk about conspiracies. So if you'll have me, I'll stay.
Okay, good.
All right.
Good. All right. Take it away.
So your entry fee into the conspiracy theory discussion is, tell me doesn't have to be completely random, but tell me a conspiracy theory that you subscribe to.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about one that I subscribe to. I don't know if I subscribe to any now. I'm so this is something I need to learn more about and chat more about. It's I don't hear about them too often organically, but the Bermuda Triangle thing, at least flying over open water, because I've flown to Puerto Rico, it freaked me out. And I went last year, and that was something I was really afraid of when I was a kid. So that's one I feel like maybe I still kind of was a little bit frightened of when I was flying down there to the island last year.
That's one of those things you always hear about, when you're a kid, you got to watch out for the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
And when has it ever affected our lives as adults? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, I certainly don't want to get caught in it. And I think that's one that's there might be just enough science that someone can put on a piece of paper to make you believe it. But at the same time, how often do people fly over that area? I mean, probably most of the country probably will never in their lifetime, but probably a lot of people think about it more than they ever would any other stretch of air that they would fly over. So I didn't necessarily have the last couple times I've presented two different conspiracy theories, and I asked everybody what's more plausible. But this time I just really wanted to come out and the flat earthers, I just I just enjoy a good conspiracy, right? Kristen, I introduced John and Katie and subsequent other guests to the possibility that Stevie Wonder is in fact not blind. So things like that, obscure conspiracy theories are really what I'm into. But and maybe Walt Disney was Frozen, and that's why they named the movie Frozen, to own all the Google searches. But
I like that.
The flat Earth people really bother me. I just, of all the conspiracy theories that you could, believe in, and let's put aside the fact that we've repeatedly disproven this, and it's literally disproven every single day. I just, why would you pick the flat Earth thing, as your mountain to die on? There's so many other good ones out, like Stevie Wonder not being blind. Don't you wonder about that now? Do some research. I'll send you some pretty convincing video footage.
I would be curious to see that, definitely. But I feel like the flat earthers, as we were discussing earlier, the Hoka loyalists and being so obsessed with something, I feel like it's one of those just obsessive conversations, and people just get hooked on the absurdity of it almost. I don't know if that's a factor, but it's compelling to say the least. I'm confused by that.
And let's just say maybe the Earth is flat. Let's just say that. Well, who cares? What does that do for you? Come to me with better conspiracy theories is all I'm saying. The Denver airport being the threshold to hell. That's something I can work with.
So, what is the conspiracy there, though? That all the things we see, the photos from space and all of that all of it's fake? That's the theory?
It wraps up a lot of conspiracy theories all in one.
Okay. The whole we didn't go to the moon thing and all of that, right? Which that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the mama bear of all these other little conspiracies, and it
right
keeps control of everybody.
Wow. I know there's a lot of flat earthers on Twitter. I've seen them. I don't necessarily feel like I know any of these people in real life, and
it's best not to know anyone on Twitter. Generally, it's a very angry place, especially nowadays.
Absolutely. And with the conspiracies and all of that. But well, that's an interesting one. We'll have to look. So, Kristen, when you look into these other ones that he's brought up tonight, you'll have to either come back on the show or send us a message or something and tell us if you think he's right. Not that he's wrong, but
or that I'm intrigued.
we don't know. We don't know the definite answer to any.
That's
of
all
these
I need
things.
is intrigue. Yeah. That's all I need.
Okay.
That's all he's asking for with these theories. Well, I know this has been like such an awesome experience having you on the show. I can't wait to hopefully meet you in person. So once you're coming back to the store, make sure Pete and John tell me, because I want to come in and meet her and gush over some Hokas.
Yes.
See what she's got in her little sample case there. Take a little peek. And we really appreciated having you on the show, and obviously really appreciate all you do for Hoka and your brand. And from personal perspective, I love the shoes a lot. So thanks for bringing so much awareness and bringing them to Running Zone. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, thank you.
What else?
That's all I got.
Pretty good. Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Thanks for inviting me. This is really cool to chat and hang out. Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah, I feel like we're all kind of experts now. I think the first time we did, this is our fourth one. I think our first one we were, even then we were like, what's happening? And like, and then now I feel like the whole world now is like a Zoom expert, you know? I feel like before this, we all were just sort of like, oh, video, no. Like, you can't see my living room. I don't want to have to do my hair. I don't have to do my makeup. And now people are just like turning on cameras. They're like, who cares? Like my dog was in the background earlier. You're like, you know, because we've all seen each other's living rooms now, and we've seen each other's offices and kids and dogs and, you know, whatever it may be. All those faux pas we see, you know, where people forget to shut it off and change their clothes, or like it can't be as bad as those people. So we're doing pretty good, I think.
Kristen, have you been on any Zooms that had any of those kind of near disasters or disasters happen?
No, not really. Luckily not. We have the awkward, like, people forget to put themselves on mute sometimes and don't realize it.
Yep.
But yeah, nothing like detrimental to, like, you know, bringing the call into the bathroom or whatever. I've heard those horror stories and they've made me aware.
A little mute button.
Yes.
And turn off video or leave meeting or whatever it may be. But, well, thanks again for being on the show, and hopefully we can have you back on either the audio or only version or back on the Zoom, and hopefully we'll all be out there hanging out again soon.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks. And thanks, listeners, for tuning in to this episode of Run Brevard, Running Zone's podcast. Make sure that you're following us on social media at Run Brevard on Twitter and Instagram, and Running Zone's group, the Run Brevard podcast group on Running Zone's Facebook page. And you can listen to past episodes at runbrevard.com. And we look forward to seeing you, hopefully, at the Firecracker 5K. And I look forward to seeing you guys and meeting you soon in person, Kristen. Everybody stay safe and cheers.
Yeah.
Got my water. Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, everybody.